Well, today on techgooch, we're not doing so much a review on a product as I'm doing more of a trip report, talking about maybe some of the products that I brought with me to Puerto Rico. Hey folks, welcome back to techgooch, and to be honest, this is the second time I'm recording this because the first time I kind of just went long-winded and just went way too crazy because I took my wife to Puerto Rico last month, November, actually beginning of November, so it's about almost exactly a month now since we left and then returned. We spent 5 days in Puerto Rico, and if you've never been to Puerto Rico, this was actually our second time there. We actually went 5 years ago. Technically, we classified it as our 10-year anniversary trip, and this one was our 15-year anniversary trip. We didn't take it over our anniversary because it just didn't work out, and of course, to be honest, if we had, it probably would have been worse because we happened almost dead nuts where we should have gone, or when we should have gone, because it's 2020 and long live the COVID virus, right? So, it actually started a while back. I'll just kind of brief over this real quick exactly what we were originally planning on doing is we actually were going to take a cruise, a Disney cruise from New York to San Juan, a one-way cruise, spend a few days in San Juan, and then come back. The cool thing is that one of our really good friends, both me and my wife's really good friends from, well, since kindergarten for me, was going to meet us in San Juan as kind of a surprise, hey, and then we were going to spend some time, all three of us together, and then we were going to fly back and have fun. Of course, COVID happened, and even though that trip was over a year of the planning, the cruise got canceled. Everybody knows that all cruises got canceled basically through the rest of the year. So we canceled the trip, and in the end we were talking, and it was kind of like, well, you know what, I mean, let's see if we can't at least do the Puerto Rico part, because we love Puerto Rico. And rather than go for 3 days, let's go for 5 days. Because obviously we're not going to take the cruise. So we'll take a shorter vacation. And, you know, part of us was, should we go, should we not go? And because of the virus and everything. But in all reality, yeah, we're going to be in airports and flying. That's kind of our point where we're going to be around a lot of people. But our point was, when we were in Puerto Rico, not to be around a lot of people. Try to do things by ourselves, basically drive the island if nothing else. So we didn't feel like we were going to put ourselves in too much danger. So what we ended up doing is we took a flight directly from Chicago to San Juan. Originally the flight back was supposed to be a one-way no-stop flight too. That got messed up. Lovely, lovely COVID, right? But just to talk about a few things that we did in Puerto Rico, and I'm going to throw up some pictures and videos or whatever. But we, the first night we were there, we just kind of went down and went to a restaurant that we had loved the first time we went down there. It's called Tijuana's, and they have multiple of these on the island now. When we were there the first time, I think he said there was only 3 in existence, and now there's like 12 or 15 of them, which is awesome. We went to a different location than the first time we went, and the food was just as awesome as it was the first time we went there. And the margaritas are the best margaritas I've ever had. So, yeah. So, shout out to Tijuana's. You guys are awesome. Your food is awesome. Your drinks are awesome. And everybody that ever goes to Puerto Rico should definitely at least visit these guys one time, in my opinion. We were in the Condado area of San Juan. We actually were staying at the same hotel we stayed at 5 years ago, which is the Hilton Condado Resort. Got a really good rate on the hotel. Yeah, and that was actually, well, I guess it was technically in the midst of COVID earlier on when the cruise got canceled, I think in June. Maybe it was a little bit later than that. But that's when we actually rebooked that hotel and got a really, really good rate. So that was at least a positive in that regard. And the flights, to be honest, were pretty relatively inexpensive. I wouldn't say inexpensive, but a good rate on the flights as well. So the second day we were there, we actually went to Old San Juan and kind of did a tour of the Old San Juan. Something that we actually did 5 years prior. And got to tour El Morro and kind of did the downtown district and just kind of went through various shops and stuff. Wasn't nearly as busy as it was 5 years ago, but of course, during the pandemic, you can't expect it to be that crazy, right? The thing about Puerto Rico as well is, in order to go to the island, you have to be tested. So we had to have a test taken, and we had to have a negative molecular COVID-19 test prior to going to the island, no more than 72 hours prior to arrival on the island, which we did. That's a whole other boat. And of course, every state has their own thing. But Test Iowa was really fast at the results, and we live in the state of Iowa. And my buddy up in Minnesota, he got his done at a local clinic up there. So you feel a little bit better about at least traveling there, right? People on the airplane and stuff were all negatively tested. But on the island, of course, there's obviously there's people that have it. And the thing about it is, it was at that time, at least the positivity rate was no higher than it was here locally in my hometown. Going by the rates from San Juan or my hometown was very similar, so we weren't any more exposed technically than we would be locally. So we just try to stay away, but we did visit local shops, keep your distance from people. And the thing about Puerto Rico that I noticed, and this isn't trying to say anything political or anything like that, we wore our face masks everywhere we went, and were respectful as possibly could be to anything. Everybody down there wore face masks. Very rarely did we see people that didn't have a face mask on. If they were by themselves, kind of off to the side, walking down the street, they didn't. But then they throw it kind of right back on if you were walking by them. Specifically the local people, they always had their face mask on. Second thing is that I wanted to say is that if you go into restaurants and stuff, they had hand sanitizers that not only gave you hand sanitizer, it actually took your temperature while it was giving you hand sanitizer. You could not go into a store, restaurant, or anything without having your temperature taken and taking hand sanitizer. They were sticklers about all that, which I loved. It made you feel more comfortable, to be honest about it. And I'm not saying anything, whatever. Everybody has their own thing, but out of respect, I think face masks are mandatory. They should be mandatory, in my opinion, just for out of respect of people during this whole challenging time. That said, not getting into that, but it worked really well. Everybody just felt good, and it just felt normal. You didn't feel crazy about it. But that second day was all Old San Juan. And so, aside from that, then we went back to the hotel, spent some time at the hotel and around the hotel again. But basically, it was Old San Juan Day. And we did make a trip over to a mall, the San Juan Mall, the Mall of San Juan, I guess. I wasn't overly that crazily impressed by it. It was fine. But I wanted to see some of these shopping districts. But that was day 2. The second day we were there, we did something that we didn't do the first time we were there. I kind of wanted to, but we didn't get around to doing it. And that was doing the Casa Bacardi rum tour. So the largest rum distillery in the world is there, technically right on the other side of the bay from San Juan. So it's right around the corner there. And they just started opening up tours, I think the day prior. So we went on that Saturday. I believe on Friday was the first rum tour. That's kind of what we got the understanding of. And so we were like the second rum tasting tour to be back open. And of course you're doing it with masks on until you got to the rum tasting part, and they separated everybody by 6 feet. Unless you were together as like a couple, then you could sit next to each other. So me and my wife got to sit next to each other, and we got to do the rum tasting tour. And I like rum. Now I know I love rum. And I'm not a big drinker. I really don't drink unless it's a special occasion or unless I'm whatever. I never really have oh my god, I gotta drink something. I've never been that way. But I will say this, I'm not a whiskey guy. I've tried really good whiskey, and it was good. But this rum was better, in my opinion. And so we got to try a few different ones. The Cuatro, the Ocho, the Diaz, those 3 of their aged rum series, really, really good. And then we got to do their special, and we got to do, we decided at the end, we actually paid the money to get their special reserve rum. You got to bottle it yourself, so I got to bottle it myself. and you get to put the stickers on. You get to do the whole thing. It was $160. For me, for alcohol, that is really expensive. I don't like to spend an amazing amount of money on stuff like that. That isn't like a gadget that I can have my hands on indefinitely. But then again, I spend a lot of money on food sometimes. So in that case, it was our anniversary trip, and we decided that this rum we're going to buy, we're going to bottle, we're going to take it back as a checked bag, which we typically don't do checked bags. And that was going to be our anniversary rum, and we're not going to open it until next anniversary, and then we'll open it and have our rum again. So we had it on the trip, and we won't have it again for a year, and that special bottle of rum is special. But that rum tasting tour was fantastic. It was fun. I believe the guy's name was Christopher, I believe. Or no, Christian, that was it. He was awesome. And so if you actually do the rum tasting tour, I hope you get him. But if you go to San Juan, and you're in the San Juan area, and you're over 21, and to be honest, if you're over 21, do it. They also offer a mixology class. We did not do that, and I might do that next time I'm down. But the rum tasting tour was awesome. And it was so quaint because we weren't flooded with people in there. They obviously had to bring the attendance down. So that was really, really cool. Really awesome. And now I have more respect for Bacardi. So, that's awesome. After Casa Bacardi, we kind of went over and saw a couple areas, spent some time at the hotel, at the beach and stuff. And then we went to an Asian cuisine place, which had great sushi. It did. But the service was really slow, so the food was fantastic, though. I gotta say the food was great. Next day, we did some things that we had been wanting to do ever since we stepped foot on Puerto Rican soil. And that was, we actually got in our car and left San Juan. And we went to El Yunque National Forest, which is the only tropical rainforest in the entire United States National Forest System. I used to work for the National Forest Service. This was years ago. Before my wife didn't like Colorado, we moved back from Colorado. I know probably a lot of you are going, what the heck? It's just a culture thing, and I love Colorado, and she loves visiting. She just didn't like living there. So it kind of left my career in that, and I do miss it, but I really wanted to see the only tropical rainforest in the whole forest system. So that was really cool. We did some hiking there, got to see some really cool stuff, got to see some towers that they had built there. It was really neat, some monuments basically. And then it started pouring rain in the rainforest, imagine that. And I didn't take as many photos or videos, but I took some video while it was raining with my camera, because I had my A7S III the entire time. You know what? I paid money on this camera. Good money on this camera, and it's got some awesome features and fantastic footage, so I did some shots in that. Then we kind of took down to the east part of the island, which we got to see some detrimental areas. What I can only imagine, most of it probably was caused from the hurricane, from Hurricane Maria back in 2017, and we got to see the infamous wind turbines that were just decimated by Maria, and they haven't been touched or fixed since, which is really heartbreaking to see. I don't know if they're fixable anymore, but I hope that some money gets influxed in there and they can actually get those things back up and running, because it's sad to see all these wind turbines just wasted. And there's also a field, and I didn't get a photo of the solar panels. Half the solar panels were destroyed, and the other half was just sitting there with basically grass growing over it, and so that's not even being utilized. So it's really sad to see some things like that. And of course the homes and everything, and the economy's not doing very well, and of course we're down there to being a tourist, hopefully at least getting some money in there. And so we actually spent, and most of the time we spent in Puerto Rico, we tried to go to as local places as we could. We went to a few places. They didn't speak any English. I don't speak Spanish. I took Spanish in high school. My wife took Spanish in high school. My good friend took Spanish in high school, and I'm really terrible at Spanish. So got to brush up on that, because we're going down next year. But that said, awesome. And then eventually we worked our way around and went up what's called the Pork Highway to Los Pinos, is where we actually ate. There's a bunch of really cool restaurants, and to be honest, I didn't do the research on that one. My buddy did, and he kind of chose that one, and it was well worth it. If you see the pictures of the video, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's a pork, and they roast the pork, and it's awesome food. It's kind of localized. You get the pork, you get the rice, you get the plantains, you get the beans and stuff, and you eat it, and it was awesome. So the next day after that, that was kind of the southeastern part of the island. The following day, basically the last full day we were there, we went to the western part of the island. Really wanted to do a few things out there, but we didn't get to everything. Wanted to see the Arecibo satellite, the antenna, the giant and the biggest radio satellite dish in the world. Of course, today, the day I'm filming this, December 1st, it has fully collapsed. The observatory tower, the laboratory array that's up in the thing. So we didn't get to see it because we didn't make time to get, or have time to get there. And I'm kind of sad I didn't get to see it, but at the same time, I don't know how much you'd be able to see without, because you probably couldn't go all the way in there. So, and of course, it was dying because it's rotting. But that said, hit the western part of the islands, got to see a couple of the western beaches, and we hit all the way down to Cabo Rojo, which is all the way in the southwest tip of the island. There's a little peninsula guy that comes out to a cove beach. And we went there and saw the lighthouse and then spent some time at the beach. Almost nobody was at the beach. It was fantastic. Now, there was really heavy current, some kind of riptide-ish things, so we were kind of being careful. We were being mindful with each other. We didn't feel too much, but it was heavy waves, which I do like that. But got to be mindful of that kind of stuff. But it was great because, COVID, you want to stay away from people, and it was fantastic. We were able to spend a big time at the beach and have a blast. Now, one item that we did stop at in Mayaguez was a chocolate factory, which doesn't really have a big factory or anything like that. Literally is one dude, and it's a little laboratory type area, so you're not really supposed to do a tour there. But he was awesome to show us some stuff and let us taste stuff. It was the same chocolate that we tried on the rum tasting tour, and we got the information from the guy on the rum tasting tour at Casa Bacardi. And it's Bahari Chocolate, Bajari, and it is fantastic chocolate. The dark chocolates that they make actually are coming from cacao that they grow on the island, and it is fantastic chocolate. So I hope that they grow in terms of their size because they make some fantastic stuff. I got his contact information that we can actually send down if we'd like to buy more. We bought him out of the chocolate bars and stuff that he had. He didn't have a whole lot. Chocolate covered. He had chocolate covered coffee, chocolate covered really cool chocolates. We bought almost all of his chocolate covered pecans that he had. It was cool. So Bahari Chocolates, fantastic chocolate. I'm going to put all these links down below. And I will say this: I may be butchering some of these names. I'm not, like I said, I don't speak very good Spanish. I try. And I'm getting better. And of course, the more time I spend down in Puerto Rico, it's not expensive to go there. So if you're interested in doing something that is different than the standard U.S. culture, right? And I know more people than people that live in the U.S. are seeing this. Mexico is great, but going to Puerto Rico, you do not have to have a passport if you live in the United States. A driver's license will suffice. And going there, if you stay in the San Juan area, you don't have to know a lick of English. Everybody knows English just fine. Or I'm sorry, you don't have to know a lick of Spanish. You can fully enjoy yourself. Even if you go to the remote parts of the island, you'll find people that will help you and kind of walk you through it. You just got to be mindful and appreciative of the culture. And that's why I go down there, is because it is fantastic culture. The food is fantastic. The people are awesome. We got to see a avocado. A Puerto Rican avocado is not like a Mexican avocado. A Mexican avocado that we have up here is like this. A Puerto Rican avocado is like this. And it was huge. And I couldn't believe it. We were asking, oh yeah, you can take those back with you. And it was like, I knew from the last time we were there that we had to go through a USDA screening. And we had to throw a banana away that we were we had in our hands going into the airport that we were going to eat before we got to security. I remember last time we had to throw the banana away. Well, when we we put that in a check bag because we were taking the rum home, and my wife got an avocado to bring back, and went through it, and when they saw it, they were avocado, and there was like, yeah, that's an avocado. Ah, avocado, yeah. It was kind of cool, but it's unique. Now, I'm not an avocado eater. I don't like avocado, to be honest, but my wife loves it. But I was impressed by the size of the thing. The thing was huge. My wife was amazed by it. It's kind of mind blown. So, yeah, I understand that this was kind of long. Things that I brought with me on the trip. I had my standard luggage, but I brought my Peak Design everyday zip backpack. That was my personal item, but that's what I basically took every single place that I went on the entire island. I took that with me everywhere. In that bag, I had my GoPro with me. I had my A7S III with my Sigma 24 to 70 millimeter lens on it. I had a couple battery chargers and some cables. And then on 2 of the days we were in the car, I had with me my Mavic Air 2 drone. And I was originally not going to take my drone because I didn't know if I was going to be able to fit it with I try to pack as light as possible. I really do. But I have a lot of equipment. And in this case, I was able to take it with me. And I am so glad I took the drone. I wouldn't have got several of the things that I shot. I wouldn't have gotten that. And man, so if lessons learned, I like packing light. I really do. I like to pack as light as possible. But I really like taking specific things that I know I'm going to use and use frequently. The GoPro I didn't use near as much as I thought I would. Now, if I had my kids with me, we probably would have spent more time in the water. I probably would have used my GoPro more because I'd want to film them. But I really don't care about filming myself in the water so much, and I like to just, whatever. But that's just said. I did have the Hero 9 at the time, so at least I have that footage. And I took a few items that I was trying to do reviews on, one of which just didn't work out. I tried to get the review, and I couldn't get it to work. I don't know if the battery died while it was in my bag or what. And then the other one I got some footage for, but not as much because we were kind of on the go nonstop, and I didn't have time to just sit down and do some stuff. So that said, guys, thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions about this entire trip that I took, we tried to do it on a dime. Of course, it was our 15-year anniversary, so I was willing to splurge a little to have some fun, to have some really unique experiences. But we didn't pay for any tours or anything like that. We kind of did it ourselves. So, and the rental car was like $170 I had it for the entire 5 days. Avis is awesome, so if you ever rent, I highly recommend Avis. I'm going to put a list of links down below, not only to products that I took with me, and I know I didn't show them here so much, but I have a lot of videos of those products, of reviews and stuff that I've done, and so I'll put links to that. I'll put a bunch of links down below. So if you have any questions about anything, feel free to ask, not only in the comment section, but head over to techgooch.com. You can actually email me directly. But yeah, Puerto Rico is awesome, and I highly recommend it. And I cannot wait to go back. The cruise that we were supposed to take this year, we pushed off to next year, and we're taking our kids with us. So it's the same cruise technically from New York to San Juan. The stuff in the middle, the stops are changed, and it's not as long. It's not a 6-night, it's a 5-night now, which actually helped out because shortened it to make it a little bit cheaper. And then the extra 25% bonus we got because they canceled their cruise essentially almost paid entirely for our kids. So it didn't really cost me any more money to add my kids to that ticket. Now I just have to worry about spending hotel rooms in New York and San Juan. And my kids really want to see New York. I more want to see more of Puerto Rico. And to be honest, I really want to see New York too. But Puerto Rico is fantastic. So especially that time of year, because this is, again, it's going to be in that October 30th to November 4th is our cruise next year. So if you're going on that cruise next year and you see me, please say hi. If you're looking for a cruise to go on, highly recommend that one because it's Puerto Rico. That's where we're heading. So, and the battery dies right at the end. But thank you for listening to me. Thank you for allowing me to go over this with you. If you have any questions, again, like I said, let me know. Otherwise, we'll catch you back here on techgooch for a future video review. And maybe we'll do some more trip reports in the future if this one's liked. So, see you soon.